I hope everybody's ready to go right here on NATV Live. We've got a special guest for you today, the one and only Wendy Whitman. Let's do this.
So it was just very interesting. So I do feel like, and I think I talk about this in a lot of interviews, people, there's no like stereotypical person really who's a killer. Like the Go-Go one in Long Island now, he was an architect. A lot of them lead completely double lives. They have families, they're married, kids, go to soccer games, but they're always running out to kill somebody. So it's, anyone can be a killer. And I think they're very, very good at hiding who they are if they want to hide it. So I think the closest I can come to saying that I would understand what it's like to be around a serial killer would be through Jerry and all the stories he's told me about Dahmer. I also spent an afternoon with Vincent Bugliosi, who prosecuted the Manson murders, and he told us a lot of interesting stories too. So I sort of got a sense of Manson as well. So through those two attorneys, I did get a sense of what it was like to be close up with the serial killer. And I always say I don't want to scare people with these books, but it's important to realize that there are psychopaths and sociopaths out there that are running around, and they're always actively looking for victims, and you don't want to be a victim. So my first book, which is Premonition, which is a crime thriller, but I put a lot of true cases in it through the protagonist's point of view. I tried to put safety tips from certain true cases I mentioned in the book, little things that could potentially save your life. Although I always say that we've covered loads of murder victims who were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and there was, even in retrospect, there was no way they could have gotten out of the situation, and it's really very heartbreaking and tragic. But there are some potential cases. We used to try to take a safety tip out of each case, like maybe if they had done this, or maybe if they had closed the garage door, or maybe don't go jogging alone. And so I did weave that into the book because I felt sort of obligated to do that.
Wow, that's really good to know. That's amazing. Have you ever taken a self-defense class yourself? That just made me
I've never
gotten into martial arts or anything.
No, I think I'm so aware of looking around and making sure, doing things all day long that an average person probably wouldn't even have on their mind, that I guess that's my version of a self-defense class. Like, I feel like I'm always on my game,
That is most important.
Well, there was one case, Danny Rowling. I don't know if you guys know that case, the Florida Gainesville killer. Those murders were committed in 1990. He killed 5 college students in Gainesville, Florida. And I actually dedicated the second book, which is Retribution, which picks up exactly where the first book left off. I dedicated it to Tracy Powlis and Shannon Christian. And Tracy Powlis was Danny Rowling's last victim, and she died such a horrible death. And that case just haunted me for years. And Shannon Christian and Christopher Newsom's murders in Knoxville, Tennessee, which were a little more recent in 2007, haunted me as well. And I couldn't sleep after those cases because it was every time I heard like a noise, or it was impossible to separate. You can't go to work, and we would work till 2 a.m. at times if we were covering a West Coast trial, because I'm in New York, and there was no way to separate. You see the families heartbroken. A killer doesn't kill one person; it kills a whole bunch of people and destroys their lives. And you have to get emotionally involved with the family. There's just no way to separate it out. I think it's just not doable. So, but those were the 2 cases that haunted me the most, and the Carr brothers case in Wichita, Kansas, which was just terrific murders. And a lot of these cases didn't get the coverage they should have gotten. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't in the field. I was only in the field a couple of times, so it's more the people developed more of a personal relationship. However, Gary Christian, who was Shannon Christian's father, we both did. He was on the same show when I was working for Nancy. We did there was only one female defendant in that case, and the verdicts were all tossed because of inappropriate stuff the judge had done, who's now deceased. And we did a show on the female defendant because she was getting a new trial, and it was Gary was on, and he's such a broken man, and it's just so that was my closest contact with a family member that really got to me. I've never seen such a devoted father and such a destroyed family. And people, I just feel like everything gets lost in the news cycle, and unless this is what you do all day long. I did this for 20 years nonstop, really. I always wonder, do people even think about it? Do they realize how many broken people there are in this country because of killers? But like, if you look again, Dennis Rader, Joseph D'Angelo, these people were married for decades, raised kids. Neither of those two were ever divorced. they had steady jobs. So like Rader was sort of known to be a prick, where like he would, he was like a compliance officer and a pain in the ass, and I don't think he was liked, but I don't think anyone ever dreamt he was BTK. And his family, when his wife got like literally an instant divorce from the judge as soon as he was arrested, because his family really did not know that he was the BTK killer, and people would say, oh, that's impossible. How could you possibly be married to him for 30 years and not know that he was doing this? But they are amazingly good at hiding things they want to hide, even from people really close to them. So I think in a lot of cases there are no red flags. I think sometimes there are, like with some of these school shooters and stuff, the parents, the families definitely see they're off and they understand these kids are posting weird stuff and all that. But some of these mature men who are adult men with families and jobs and kids and all that, I don't think, like Gary, I don't think they could do it for as long as they did it. Gary Ridgway was killing women for years, and they think he may have killed more than anyone else. I think he was finally sentenced for 40 or 50, but they do think he probably killed 100. And when all these open cases, they'll always try to match them to a killer who was finally caught, and it is sort of tricky sometimes to do that, obviously, especially cold cases. But Joseph DeAngelo took them 40 years to catch him. They're amazingly clever at hiding who they are, and so I don't know that they're red flags in those cases.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, because those are always going to be the mid to lower level. We're talking about narcissists, toxicity, dynamics, but then when you're talking about way on this side, it's a total method acting job. I mean, it's like Daniel Day-Lewis, the cream of the crop. We watch them transform into these amazing characters, these A-list actors, and it's true. That's why it's so good. It evokes those feelings and emotions. It gets this story. So they're doing that basically with their life. And I know I've watched the shows, and now I'm like, I gotta read these books.
Yes, the second book picks up exactly. I always tell you when you have to read Premonition first, because it's the first book, and then the second book, Retribution, picks up exactly from where the first book left off. And it is told from the killer's point of view.